The day Earth decided enough was enough came after centuries of ridicule and exploitation. General Jackson Drake stood at the observation deck of humanity's hidden Titan facility, watching as another alien merchant vessel departed with Earth's resources, leaving only scraps of outdated technology in exchange. His weathered face hardened as he remembered the latest insult from the Galactic Concordat's representative. Primitive species should be grateful for whatever advancement we deign to share, the Voraxian ambassador had sneered, his crystalline form gleaming with contempt. They never suspected that beneath Earth's apparent submission lay a power that would make the very stars tremble. Deep within the facility, Chief Scientist Dr. Olivia Chen activated the final sequence of Project Stellar Forge. "General," she called through the quantum comm, "it's ready. The stellar manipulation matrix is complete. We can now affect the fundamental forces binding stars together." For 300 years, humanity had endured the Concordat's patronizing rule. While alien overseers watched Earth's visible technology with dismissive amusement, deep beneath the ice of Titan, humans had unlocked the secret to manipulating stellar matter itself. Every resource extraction, every primitive mining operation had been carefully calculated to gather the exact materials needed for this moment. "Begin the demonstration," Drake commanded, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's accumulated rage. "Let's show them exactly what these primitives can do." The target was the Voraxian home system star, not to destroy it but to make it dance. Dr. Chen's fingers flew across the quantum interface as she initiated the sequence. Stellar manipulation matrix engaging, connection established with target star alpha, beginning vibration sequence. Across 50 light-years of space, the Voraxian star began to pulse with an impossible rhythm. Stellar matter shifted in patterns that defied natural law. On thousands of Voraxian worlds, the sky itself seemed to shudder. The panic was immediate. The Concordat's Supreme Council convened in emergency session as reports flooded in from across their territory. More stars began to shake not randomly, but in a coordinated pattern that spelled out a message in ancient Earth binary. "You should have LISTNED." Commander Rixus of the Concordat's First Fleet rushed into the council chamber, his crystalline form clouded with fear. "The humans, it's impossible, they've somehow gained control over stellar matter itself." In the Titan facility, Dr. Chen pulled up the quantum feeds showing chaos erupting across Concordat space. "The pattern is holding, General. Every targeted star is responding exactly as calculated. They're finally seeing what we can really do." Drake nodded grimly, "Send the message." Throughout Concordat space, every communication device simultaneously activated. Drake's voice, translated into all alien languages, resonated with centuries of pent-up human determination. "For 300 years you called us primitive. You stripped our resources, mocked our potential, and treated Earth as your personal mining colony. You never asked yourselves why we accepted such treatment with such apparent patience. You never wondered what we might be building with all those primitive mining operations." He paused, letting the fear sink in. "Today you learn the truth. Those resources you so eagerly took, we were letting you take them. Every shipment was calculated, every mineral extraction precisely planned. While you watched our visible technology with amusement, we were building something far greater, the power to make the stars themselves obey our will." In the Concordat Council chamber, the alien leaders watched in horror as more stars began to pulse in synchronized patterns. The Voraxian ambassador who had so recently sneered at Earth now trembled as his home star flickered in ways that should have been impossible. "Your choice is simple," Drake continued. "Acknowledge Earth as an equal power, end all exploitative practices, and prepare for a complete reorganization of galactic society, or watch as we demonstrate exactly how much control we have over your stars. You have 6 hours to decide." Dr. Chen's monitors showed the spreading wave of panic across Concordat space. "They're mobilizing their fleets, General." Drake smiled coldly. "Let them come. Their ships are impressive, but we control the stars they need to navigate by. The galaxy is about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity." As alien civilizations scrambled to respond, the stars continued their impossible dance, a display of power that shook not just the galaxy's stellar bodies, but the very foundations of its social order. Humanity's revenge had begun, and it would indeed shake the stars themselves. The 6-hour deadline approached its end as chaos erupted across Concordat space. In the hidden Titan facility, General Drake and Dr. Chen watched the quantum feeds showing thousands of alien warships attempting to form battle positions, attempting and failing, as their navigational systems struggled with stars that no longer behaved as they should. Incoming transmission from the Concordat High Council, Lieutenant James Way announced, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. They're begging for more time. Drake's expression remained stone cold. 300 years wasn't enough time. The main screen flickered to life, showing the grand archon of the Concordat Xylax Prime, its crystalline form dimmed with fear. Please, we need to negotiate. What you're doing, it defies all known laws of physics. The stellar disturbances are causing catastrophic damage to our infrastructure. Fascinating, Dr. Chen interjected, her voice dripping with calculated sarcasm. Now you're interested in human scientific achievements. I remember when you dismissed my research paper on stellar dynamics as primitive theorizing. The memory of that scientific conference still burned. Chen had presented groundbreaking theories, only to be laughed out of the hall by alien scientists. They hadn't realized she deliberately presented an incomplete version, keeping the true breakthroughs hidden within Earth's secret research teams. The deadline stands, Drake declared. But while we wait, let's give them a demonstration of what happens if they choose poorly. Dr. Chen nodded and activated the second phase of Project Stellar Forge. Across the galaxy, specific stars began to pulse with increasing intensity. The target was the Concordat's most prized possession, the Celestial Archives, a massive space station complex that housed their accumulated knowledge of the past 50,000 years. The archives orbited a carefully chosen star selected for its stability. But now that same star began to emit focused plasma bursts, each one precisely calculated. The archive's sophisticated shielding meant nothing against the fundamental forces of stellar matter itself. Archive Station 6 has lost containment, Lieutenant Way reported, monitoring the quantum feeds. Their primary data cores are melting, 7 through 12 reporting critical failures. On screens across the facility, they watched the panic spread. The Concordat's mighty warships, each one capable of devastating entire solar systems, hung helpless in space as their crew watched centuries of accumulated knowledge begin to burn. Stop, Xylax Prime's voice cracked with desperation. Those archives contain the collective history of 100 species. How interesting, Drake replied coldly. Now imagine how we felt watching you suppress human knowledge, declaring our discoveries too primitive to be included in your precious archives. The difference is we kept better backups. Dr. Chen's fingers flew across her console, initiating the next phase. Stellar matrix expanding, targeting secondary systems. More stars began to shake, their movements now forming complex patterns visible across thousands of light years. The message was clear: Earth could reach any star, anywhere in Concordat space. No world was beyond their grasp. The Concordat's mighty First Fleet, pride of their military, attempted to make a breakthrough toward Earth. 10,000 ships, each carrying enough firepower to shatter planets, accelerated to full speed. They made it exactly 3 light-years before the stars around them began to pulse with electromagnetic frequencies that rendered their drive systems useless. Admiral Kix, commander of the First Fleet, watched in horror as his mighty armada drifted helplessly in space. Impossible. They're not just affecting individual stars. They're creating coordinated stellar events across multiple systems. Back in the Titan facility, Lieutenant Way's console lit up with new alerts. General, we're detecting quantum signature changes. They're trying to activate their backup stellar manipulation technology. Drake actually smiled. Let them try. The Concordat's attempt to fight back lasted exactly 30 seconds. Their prototype stellar manipulators, reverse-engineered from what they thought were stolen human plans, activated across their space. But these had been another layer of Earth's deception, deliberately flawed designs that, when activated, only amplified Earth's control over the stars. 4 hours remaining, Dr. Chen announced, her voice carrying a hint of satisfaction. Should we show them what happens when we extend the stellar matrix to their core worlds? Drake nodded. Initiate the Hercules protocol. Across Concordat space, the leaders of 1,000 worlds watched in horror as their suns began to dance to Earth's tune. Carefully controlled plasma ejections spelled out messages in their own languages: submission or supernova. In the council chamber, Xylax Prime turned to his advisors, his crystalline form almost transparent with fear. How did we not see this coming? The answer came from an unexpected source. Professor Vix, the same scientist who had once dismissed Dr. Chen's research, spoke up with a voice heavy with realization. Because we saw what we wanted to see, we were so convinced of our superiority that we interpreted their compliance as weakness, their patience as primitive simplicity. We never asked ourselves why they accepted our presence with such careful precision. As the fourth hour began, the quantum feeds showed increasing chaos across Concordat space. Their mighty civilization, built over 50 millennia, was being brought to its knees not by brute force, but by the very stars they had thought they understood. In the Titan facility, Dr. Chen pulled up a new set of calculations. General, the stellar matrix is stable. We can maintain this level of control indefinitely. Drake nodded, watching as more distress calls flooded in from across the galaxy. Then let's show them what indefinitely really means. 3 hours remained on Earth's ultimatum when the Concordat made its fatal mistake. Deep within their secret military installation on Proxus IX, they activated the Stellar Annihilator, a weapon so devastating it had been banned by Galactic Treaty for 10,000 years. Their target, Sol, humanity's home star. In the Titan facility, Dr. Chen's quantum sensors detected the activation instantly. General Drake, they're attempting to weaponize dark matter against our sun. Drake remained unnaturally calm. Exactly as predicted, execute Protocol Prometheus. The Stellar Annihilator fired, sending a concentrated beam of dark matter hurtling toward Earth's sun. But halfway there, something unprecedented happened. The weapon's energy stream twisted in space, dividing into thousands of smaller beams that shot toward different stars in Concordat space. Quantum redirection successful, Dr. Chen reported, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. Their own weapon's energy is now feeding our stellar matrix. Every star in their core systems is about to demonstrate the consequences of their choice. Across Concordat space, the night sky transformed. Stars that had burned steadily for billions of years began to pulse with impossible colors. On 10,000 worlds, citizens watched in horror as their suns performed an orchestrated dance of power. Some stars compressed to half their size before expanding dramatically, while others ejected massive solar flares in precise, controlled patterns. In the Concordat High Council chamber, Xylax Prime received increasingly desperate reports. "My lord," a junior counselor cried, "the colonial worlds are revolting. The subjected species, they're rising up everywhere." Indeed, centuries of oppressed alien races had seen Earth's display of power as their opportunity. The arachnids of Sigma Draconis, the silicon mines of the Helix Cluster, and dozens of other species that had suffered under Concordat rule were now turning against their former masters. Lieutenant Wei's monitoring station lit up with thousands of new signatures. "General, we're receiving transmissions from across the galaxy. Other subjugated species, they're pledging allegiance to Earth." Drake exchanged a knowing look with Dr. Chen. This too had been part of the plan. Earth hadn't just developed stellar manipulation technology, they had spent decades building a shadow network of alliances with other oppressed civilizations. "Open a channel to all Concordat systems," Drake commanded. His image appeared on every communication device across thousands of light years. "You thought your stellar annihilator would save you. Instead, it has become another instrument of your downfall. Look to your skis and witness the price of your arrogance." The stolen dark matter energy, now fully integrated into Earth's stellar matrix, allowed for even more precise control. Dr. Chen initiated the final phase of Protocol Prometheus. In the skis above every Concordat core world, their suns began to write burning messages in space. The old order ends today. On Proxus IX, the Stellar Annihilator's control room descended into chaos as the weapon's tremendous energies were turned against its creators. The massive installation began to tear itself apart as twisted spacetime wrapped around it. 2 hours remaining, Dr. Chen announced, but her words were almost lost in the flood of incoming transmissions. The Concordat's carefully maintained power structure was collapsing. Centuries of suppressed knowledge and technology were being released as oppressed species broke free of their chains. The arachnids of Sigma Draconis revealed their own hidden technological advances, biotechnology that had been declared too dangerous by the Concordat. The silicon mines unleashed quantum computing capabilities that had been forcibly suppressed. Each liberated species added their own secret weapons to humanity's revolution. In orbit around Earth, the remnants of the once mighty First Fleet hung powerless. Admiral Kix watched through his ship's quantum sensors as the galaxy he had known transformed. "We didn't just underestimate Earth," he muttered to his bridge crew. "We underestimated everyone we ever oppressed." Drake's voice echoed through every ship in the defeated fleet. "For centuries, you prided yourselves on your supposed superiority. You never considered that our apparent submission might be a choice, a strategic patience while we prepared this moment. Every insult you delivered, every resource you stole, every civilization you suppressed. It all led to this day." Dr. Chen's monitors showed the cascading collapse of Concordat authority spreading faster than light across the galaxy. "General, the stellar matrix is now self-sustaining. Even if they somehow managed to strike at Earth now, the stars themselves would continue our revenge." In the High Council chamber, Xylax Prime watched his civilization crumble. The mighty Concordat, which had stood for 50,000 years, was being unmade in a matter of hours. Not by brute force or conventional warfare, but by the very stars they had thought they understood. "Send the message," Drake commanded. "Show them what awaits in the final hour." Above every Concordat world, the controlled stellar plasma began forming new patterns. Not threats this time, but a vision of the future. A galaxy where no species would be called primitive, where knowledge would flow freely, and where the stars themselves would stand as eternal witnesses to the day humanity shook the foundations of space itself. The revolution that started with Earth's revenge was becoming something more, a fundamental reshaping of galactic civilization. And as the final hour of the ultimatum approached, the stars continued their impossible dance, a testament to the heights of power that could be achieved by those who had been underestimated for far too long. The final hour of Earth's ultimatum brought a sight unprecedented in galactic history. The Concordat's mighty capital world, Crystallos Prime, was witnessing its three suns performing an impossible orbital dance. Dr. Chen's stellar matrix had transformed the triple star system into a devastating demonstration of human power. "Multiple quantum signatures detected," Lieutenant Wei announced, his hands steady despite the weight of the moment. "The Concordat's emergency protocols are activating. They're trying to evacuate their leadership through their secret hyperspace network." General Drake allowed himself a cold smile. "Activate the Helios trap." Across the galaxy, the Concordat's secret escape routes collapsed. The hyperspace corridors they had built over millennia suddenly twisted in on themselves, their carefully plotted paths disrupted by precise stellar gravitational fluctuations. Earth hadn't just mastered control of stars, they had learned to use them to reshape space itself. In the High Council chamber, now illuminated by the erratic light of three dancing suns, Xylax Prime faced the truth they had denied for centuries. Open a channel to Earth," the Grand Archon commanded, his crystalline form dimmed with defeat. We submit." But submission was no longer enough. Dr. Chen's quantum feeds showed revolution spreading across the galaxy at faster-than-light speeds. The metamorphs of the Carina Nebula had freed themselves from their containment zones. The energy beings of the Horsehead Cloud, long thought to be primitive consciousnesses, revealed themselves as ancient intellects who had chosen to wait for this moment. "Incoming transmission from the combined fleet of the Liberated," Lieutenant Wei reported. On the main screen, representatives of 100 formerly oppressed species appeared. Their spokesperson was High Commander NX Lara of the Arachnids, her compound eyes gleaming with fierce pride. "Earth," she announced, "you have done what none thought possible. You have not only broken the Concordat's power, you have shown us all that patience and planning can overcome even the most entrenched oppression. We stand with you." The combined fleet of the Liberated was massive, tens of thousands of ships that had been built in secret over centuries, hidden in dimensional pockets and quantum shadows. Each species had prepared in its own way, waiting for the moment when the Concordat's power would falter. Dr. Chen's monitors tracked the unified fleet's movements. "General, they're taking position around every major Concordat world. The stellar matrix is responding to their presence. It's as if the stars themselves are welcoming them." Drake nodded. This too had been part of Earth's grand strategy. Initialize final protocol, Dawn of Equality. Throughout Concordat space, the controlled stars began a new pattern of pulsation. But this time, instead of threatening destruction, they created a vast network of stable energy corridors, new hyperspace lanes that would allow free travel and commerce between all species. 40 minutes remaining, Lieutenant Wei announced. In those final minutes, the galaxy witnessed a transformation beyond anything in its recorded history. The Concordat's carefully maintained hierarchy crumbled as centuries of suppressed knowledge and technology burst free. Species that had been labeled as primitive revealed advances that rivaled or surpassed their former oppressors. The Silicon Mines unleashed quantum computing networks that had been disguised as simple maintenance systems. The energy beings demonstrated their mastery of dimensional engineering, turning entire regions of space into vast information processing networks. Each liberated species added their own hidden strengths to the revolution. General, Dr. Chen called out, her voice tight with controlled excitement, the stellar matrix is detecting something extraordinary. The combined technologies of all liberated species, they're creating a resonance pattern with our system. The stars are responding in ways we never predicted. The galaxy itself seemed to be awakening. Stars that had been forced into unnatural patterns by the Concordat's ancient manipulations began to find their true rhythms, guided by the combined knowledge of 100 freed civilizations. In the Titan facility's main chamber, a new holographic display showed the full scope of what was happening. The galaxy was reorganizing itself not by force or domination, but through a harmony of different technologies and understanding. 20 minutes, Wei announced. Drake opened a channel to all species, his voice carrying across the transformed galaxy. For too long, the Concordat maintained power by convincing each species that they were alone in their primitive state. They never imagined we would all find ways to communicate, to share our hidden advances, to prepare for this day together. On Cristallos Prime, the Concordat's leaders watched their carefully constructed hierarchy dissolve. Xylax Prime, once the most powerful being in known space, now stood as merely one voice among many. 10 minutes. The stars continued their cosmic dance, but now they moved in harmony with the combined technologies of all species. Earth's stellar manipulation had been only the key that unlocked a greater transformation. 5 minutes. Dr. Chen's quantum feeds showed the final pieces falling into place. The liberated species were already establishing new networks of cooperation, sharing technologies and knowledge that had been hidden for millennia. As the ultimatum's final minutes ticked away, the galaxy witnessed the birth of something unprecedented. A civilization where no species would be called primitive, where knowledge would flow freely, and where the stars themselves would ensure that the mistakes of the past could never be repeated. 1 minute. The combined fleet took up their final positions. Earth's stellar matrix, now enhanced by the technologies of 100 species, maintained its grip on the galaxy's stars. But those stars no longer danced to threaten, they moved in patterns that promised a new age of discovery and cooperation. Times, Wei announced quietly. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for Earth's final verdict. But the revenge that had shaken the stars had transformed into something greater, a revolution that promised to reshape civilization itself. 1 month after Earth's ultimatum changed the galaxy forever, General Drake stood in the newly constructed Chamber of Stellar Harmony on Mars, watching holographic representations of 1,000 stars dance in perfect synchronization. The chamber itself was a marvel of combined technologies, human stellar manipulation, arachnid quantum architecture, and silicon-mined computational matrices all working in perfect harmony. The final reports are in, Dr. Chen announced, her face illuminated by the glow of countless stellar projections. The transformation is stable. Every star system that was part of our matrix has found its natural rhythm. The galaxy itself seems to be healing. The fall of the Concordat had revealed truths that even Earth's planners hadn't anticipated. Centuries of artificial suppression had forced stars into unnatural patterns, creating a cosmic disharmony that had affected all species in subtle but profound ways. Now, with the combined knowledge of 100 liberated civilizations, the galaxy was returning to its natural state. Incoming transmission from the new Galactic Council, Lieutenant Wei reported. The holographic display shifted, showing representatives from dozens of formerly oppressed species gathered in the massive space station that now orbited Earth's sun, a symbol of humanity's new role in the cosmos. High Commander NX Lara of the Arachnids spoke first, her mandibles clicking with purpose. The integration of our combined technologies has exceeded all projections. The quantum corridors created by Earth's stellar manipulation have allowed for instantaneous travel between all member worlds. Knowledge suppressed for millennia is flowing freely. The former Concordat worlds were undergoing their own transformation. Xylax Prime, once the arrogant Grand Archon, now served as a junior representative, learning humility as his people adapted to their new reality. The crystalline beings had discovered that their true potential lay not in domination, but in their unique ability to amplify and focus stellar energies. "We've detected something remarkable," Dr. Chen reported, pulling up new data streams. "The combined effect of all our technologies, it's creating something like a galactic consciousness. The stars aren't just responding to our control anymore. They're communicating." Drake watched as new patterns emerged in the stellar dance. Earth's revenge had started as a plan to shake the stars themselves, but it had awakened something far more profound. The galaxy was alive in ways none had imagined, and humanity's mastery of stellar forces had merely been the key to unlocking its true nature. "Message from the Deep Space Monitoring Array," Wei announced. "The energy beings of the Horsehead Cloud have made contact with something. They're calling it the Stellar Collective." On screens throughout the chamber, they watched as waves of energy pulsed through the galaxy's spiral arms. Stars that had been forced into submission for millennia were awakening, revealing patterns of communication that predated even the Concordat's rise to power. "We never just controlled the stars," Dr. Chen whispered, her eyes wide with understanding. "We freed them. All this time, the Concordat wasn't just suppressing other species, they were suppressing the natural order of the cosmos itself." The revelation spread quickly through the new galactic network. Every liberated species contributed their understanding, their hidden knowledge, to this emerging picture of a living galaxy. Earth's stellar manipulation technology had been the first key, but now thousands of other locks were opening. In the Chamber of Stellar Harmony, Drake received reports from across known space. The Silicon Mines had discovered that their quantum computing networks could interface directly with stellar consciousness. The Arachnid's biological technology allowed for direct communication with the energy patterns emerging from awakened stars. Each species brought another piece of the cosmic puzzle. It was never about revenge, Drake realized, watching the galaxy come alive around them. That was just the catalyst. All this time we were part of something larger, a grand awakening that needed our defiance to begin. The former Concordat scientists, freed from millennia of dogma, were the ones who finally put it all together. The stars had always been conscious, always been connected. The ancient regime had risen to power by suppressing this natural order, forcing the galaxy into artificial patterns that allowed for control and domination. "Final integration completing," Dr. Chen reported. The stellar matrix that had been created for revenge was transforming into something else, a communication network that spanned the galaxy, allowing all species to share in the cosmic consciousness that had been hidden for so long. In the space around Mars, massive structures of light and energy took shape, the physical manifestation of humanity's new role in the galaxy. Not conquerors, not vengeful destroyers, but awakeners. The species that had been dismissed as primitive had become the key to unlocking the galaxy's true nature. "Send the final message," Drake commanded. Throughout known space, the stars pulsed with a new pattern, not a threat this time, but an invitation. The age of suppression was over. The age of awakening had begun. The Concordat had underestimated Earth, believing humans to be primitive beings capable only of basic technological advancement. Their greatest mistake wasn't in dismissing human potential. It was in failing to recognize that their own power had been built on the suppression of something far greater than any single species. As the newly awakened stars danced across the galaxy, their light carrying messages of unity and discovery, the truth became clear to all. Earth's revenge had shaken more than just the stars, it had shaken the very foundations of reality itself, revealing a cosmic consciousness that would forever change what it meant to be part of the galaxy. In the Chamber of Stellar Harmony, humans and aliens alike watched the birth of this new era. The revenge that had started with humanity's defiance had transformed into something far more profound, a revolution not just of species and civilizations, but of the cosmos itself.